Luo Feng piloted the Void Netherworld Pupil Ship, not daring to relax in the slightest, and put all his effort into controlling the ship. In Yulan City, there were many flying boat-class secret treasures, but Luo Feng chose the Void Netherworld Pupil Ship, because the secret patterns of this ship were profoundly mysterious and similar to the path of the Eye of Life and Death. The materials for refining this ship were sourced from several types of low-level primordial life from the Void lineage, making the ship incomparably integrated with the Void. With the netherworld eyes of the ship, one can more clearly perceive the structure of the heavens and the Void. Luo Feng piloted the flying boat, agilely navigating through the Void, where ordinary methods could no longer trace its presence. The creator of this flying boat had reached half-primordial level in both life and destruction paths, a realm much higher than the current Luo Feng. Even with all his effort, Luo Feng could only utilize 50 to 60% of this flying boat's capabilities. Sigh. As Luo Feng scouted the surroundings, he spared no effort in hurrying along. We have completely flown out of the Elder hunting area. Luo Feng still did not dare to slacken, worried that the Primordial Wild Hoof Leader was still tracking him, so he flew for a long time until he was thoroughly out of the conventional hunting area before he relaxed. Void Netherworld Pupil Ship, suppress all fluctuations of aura. Even more powerful than my own techniques for concealing life aura. Luo Feng revealed a smile. The Primordial Wild Hoof Leader is too powerful, I simply can't fight against it. If it saw through my fake death secret method, this avatar would have completely died there, losing the undying heart in the palm world. Luo Feng thought inwardly. Losing these two treasures would be a too huge loss. Luo Feng was too overconfident. After perfecting the undying blood sea body, even among elders it was considered a formidable secret technique, and with two secret treasures, Luo Feng felt that he had chances of escaping life from a typical divine emperor perfection low-level primordial life, which is why he dared to try entering the elder hunting area, only to encounter the Primordial Wild Hoof Leader. Primordial Wild Hoof Leader is not the strongest among low-level primordial life. Luo Feng thought, in Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, there are even more powerful low-level primordial life known as super-limit level. Facing a super-limit level, I fear not even having a chance to resist and would be wiped out instantly. Sources for super-limit level low-level primordial life materials usually come from the Dark Sacred Realm. After all, in the Dark Sacred Realm, super-limit levels are common. All sorts of strange, powerful, and even special rare species of low-level primordial life are placed there. They confront the strongest cultivators selected from countless worlds. Nine Rivers Sacred Realm. Divine Emperor Perfection level low-level primordial life is very rare, let alone super-limit level, that is myth. I thought I was careful enough, but I still underestimated the danger, Luo Feng thought. This time returning to Yulan City, I must make good use of these spoils of war to comprehensively enhance my strength. Luo Feng then thought and also released Emperor Qing. After coming out, Emperor Qing seeing Luo Feng finally relaxed and then laughed. Brother Luo Feng, I was really worried just now, afraid that you were killed by that Primordial Wild Hoof Leader. Facing the Primordial Wild Hoof Leader, there's simply no way to fight. Luo Feng also shook his head. I can only try every possible method to escape. I barely managed to escape with my life by relying on a life-saving secret technique. But I also suffered great losses. His own body's energy reserve was left with a little more than 20%. All other energy reserves were depleted during the combat and escape processes. Being able to escape is already something to be proud of. Emperor Qing said, according to the intelligence facing the Divine Emperor Perfection level Primordial Wild Hoof Leader, only 3 Hall Masters have the strength to confront it head-on. All other elders must flee upon encountering it, and most of them can't even escape. Luo Feng nodded. With the undying heart enhancing the undying blood sea body, and his energy being robust enough, yet only a few exchanges left him with a little over 20% of his energy reserve. You're right, being able to escape is already quite good, Luo Feng said with a smile. Where have we flown to now? Emperor Qing looked towards the vast landscape outside. We've already flown out of the normal hunting area, it won't be too long before we'll arrive at Yulan City, Luo Feng said. Emperor Qing's expression changed slightly. Brother Luo Feng, when we left Yulan City before we were followed. At that time, it was you who dealt with the tracker. Now returning to Yulan City, the Deceit Workshop might have ambushes. Luo Feng nodded. Elder Tian He, wanting to use him to make a statement, had sent trackers who were killed by himself. Tian He most likely has even stronger killing intent now. The closer we get to Yulan City, the more likely we are to encounter an ambush. Luo Feng nodded. If Elder Tian He wants to make a statement using me, he can only act outside the city. Inside the city, actions are generally stealth attacks with secret techniques, leaving no traces. Direct combat? Only outside the city. Unless one is prepared to sever ties with the entire Elder Hall. The Elder Hall, 3 Hall Masters and over 300 Elders, who also control the entire city's formation. All of them together, even a super-limit level low-level primordial life, would lose its life. The rules of the city are the foundation for the 3 Hall Masters and the Elders to continuously gain immense benefits. Of course they wouldn't destroy the rules. Brother Luo Feng, how do you plan to handle this? Emperor Qing looked at Luo Feng. Just fight them openly. Luo Feng grinned. He wants to use me to make a statement, I might as well use him as a stepping stone. Earning resources does not only come from hunting. When one's strength is strong enough, like those elders, their frequency of hunting is very low, The primary way they earn resources is from various benefits obtained normally within the city. Once my strength is sufficient, the vast resources of Yulan City, even if I can't eat meat, I can still drink some soup. At the beginning of one's growth, naturally one needs to find ways to obtain various resources. My current strength is somewhat inferior to my peak state. Luo Feng slightly frowned. His undying blood sea body, as the energy reserve increases, so does the strength, but it's not unlimited. 500 times the perfect divine body energy reserve is the peak state. Even with many energy reserves, the only increase is in reserves. There is no enhancement in burst power. 100-fold perfect divine body energy reserve can exert about 50% of strength. 200-fold perfect divine body can exert nearly 80% of strength. 300-fold perfect divine body can exert about 90% of strength. The higher it goes, the smaller the increment in enhancement. 500-fold can exert 100% of strength. At this moment I can exert 80% of my strength, Luo Feng thought. That should be enough to face Elder Tian He. If not, I can still summon more avatars from Yulan City to come here. He was cultivating in the land of origin, and every time he came to the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, he brought sufficient energy reserves. Over time, the velocity at which Luo Feng's various avatars absorbed energy increased, becoming somewhat comparable to that of the small universe. Not far outside the east city gate of Yulan City, a huge deceitful shadow formation had already been set up, patiently waiting for Luo Feng to walk into the trap. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing went out hunting. They should be returning soon, thought the three avatars of the Mist-Teeth God Emperor, dispersed and utilizing the formation diagram to deploy the Deceitful Shadow Formation, covering a sufficiently vast surrounding area. Elder Tian He originally dispatched 4 raiding teams to set up Deceitful Shadow Formations to guard the 4 city gates. The Mist-Teeth God Emperor slightly shook his head. Who would have thought they, hearing about one of my avatars being crushed, found out there might be an elder behind Luo Feng? None of them wanted to block the city gates anymore. The raiding team members were mostly not source world powerhouses, each having only one true body. They joined the Deceit Workshop for resources, not to die. Knowing this matter involved a conflict between 2 elders, none of the 4 raiding teams wanted to take the risk. Elder Tian He couldn't force them. Even if the 3 hall masters personally ordered it, the cultivators in the city likely wouldn't pay attention to such a suicidal task. In the end, Elder Tian He could only ask 4 source world powerhouses in the Deceit Workshop to deploy the formation using avatars. The Mist-Teeth God Emperor was one of them. Source world powerhouses just deploying formations with avatars. As long as the conditions were right, they were still willing to do it. Sigh. The Deceitful Shadow Formation was so vast, and being relatively close to the city gate, it had completely sealed off the vast area outside the East City Gate. To enter the East City Gate, one must enter this Deceitful Shadow Formation. If it were other cultivators, the Deceitful Shadow Formation would not obstruct them. The Deceitful Shadow Formation was only maintained for these few days, and in such a short period, given the hunting frequency of the teams in Yulan City, since the Mist-Teeth God Emperor deployed the formation, he hadn't encountered a single hunting team. The Mist-Teeth God Emperor suddenly looked towards the distance. A ship had already entered the range of the Deceitful Shadow Formation. The formation enveloped it, and immediately sensed 2 familiar life auras. Mist-Teeth, it's you again? Luo Feng flew out of the Void Netherworld Pupil Ship. Mist-Teeth looked at Luo Feng from a distance. Luo Feng, quickly let the elder protecting you reveal himself. The elder protecting me? Luo Feng was surprised. He immediately understood. The Deceit Workshop side didn't believe Luo Feng, Emperor Qing, could reach the elder level so quickly. They thought he had requested support from a powerful elder. Luo Feng laughed. There isn't any elder protecting me, it was me who crushed you with one claw. Mist-Teeth was taken aback. I won't kill you either, quickly send word to Tian He, let him come here, Luo Feng said. If he doesn't come, I might just enter the city. Mist-Teeth in this formation wanted to stop him. Luo Feng instantly determined. Mist-Teeth, this source world powerhouse, probably prepared to die this time, not carrying any valuable treasures. Luo Feng naturally didn't want to waste energy dealing with Mist-Teeth. You're asking Elder Tian He to come over? Mist-Teeth looked at Luo Feng and nodded. Okay, Elder Tian He will be here soon. Near the East City Gate in a cave mansion. Elder Tian He resided here. To him, if that elder wanted to save face, he would definitely return through the East City Gate. Elder Tian He originally sat there, leisurely carving, when suddenly he received a message from Mist-Teeth. Luo Feng, is that elder? And he asked me to come over? Elder Tian He felt both amused and disappointed. I thought it was some other elder, turns out it's just a newly promoted elder. Newly promoted elder, just stepping into this level, weak accumulation, the battle spirit Elder Tian He had been longing for quickly faded. He crushed Mist-Teeth with one claw, seems he has a powerful secret treasure? Truly overestimating oneself. Just became an elder, obtained a powerful secret treasure. He thinks he can challenge me? Elder Tian He stood up. Well then, I'll use 50% of my strength and finish him off. In one step, Elder Tian He had already left the cave mansion, and in another step, his figure blurred and he had already arrived at the city gate, viewing from a distance the silhouette of a black-haired man in the Deceitful Shadow Formation outside the city gate. The black-haired man also looked over from afar. A newly promoted elder. Elder Tian He slightly shook his head. Luo Feng and Elder Tian He looked at each other from a distance. Mist-Teeth God Emperor immediately returned quietly to the city, and Emperor Qing also took the Void Netherworld Pupil Ship back to the city. Elder Tian He didn't intercept them, his target after all was Luo Feng. Elder Tian He. Luo Feng looked at the other party. Elder Tian He was clad in a white robe, his appearance handsome, skin like crystal jade, and even a faint halo of light protected him, with an aura that was unremarkable and ordinary. I thought there was some elder who wanted to have a match with me. Elder Tian He said softly with a chuckle. Only now do I realize, it's merely a junior who has just made a breakthrough. Is this the confidence behind your disrespect? Why should I show you respect? Luo Feng looked surprised. Are you one of the 3 hall masters, or are you the master of the Deceit Workshop? At this moment, around the east city gate of Yulan City, there were guards, some members of the Deceit Workshop, and some cultivators who came to observe. Even the number of cultivators watching was increasing rapidly. An elder-level confrontation. It's happening outside the east city gate, they are going to clash. Many cultivators received the news, and they were quite excited to come and watch the battle. An elder-level confrontation in Yulan City was quite rare, and the opportunity to watch closely was even more precious. One side is Elder Tian He, one of the 8 deputy workshop masters of the Deceit Workshop. To be a deputy workshop master of the Deceit Workshop must be extraordinary. The other party is God Emperor Luo Feng, not so well known. His claim to fame is just slaying a Deceit Workshop's marauding team. It looks like he's a newly promoted elder-level strength. Elder Tian He has profound accumulations, the other LuoFeng's accumulations are shallow in comparison. The watching cultivators communicated their thoughts to one another through whispers. They were all within the territory of Yulan City, protected by layers upon layers of the city's defensive formations, not at all concerned about being affected by the battle, and thus could watch comfortably. Outside the East City Gate, at this moment there were only Luo Feng and Elder Tian He. No other cultivator dared to step out of the East City Gate even by a single step. A new elder with such confidence. Elder Tian He was not angry at all. I guess is it because you've obtained a powerful secret treasure? Hence the full confidence. Luo Feng looked at the other party. You are too young and your experience is too little. Elder Tian He shook his head gently. If you had ventured through the dark sacred realm, you would realize your little bit of chance isn't worth mentioning in the dark sacred realm. The dark sacred realm, where the strongest cultivators from countless worlds gather, is filled with dazzling talents, and there are quite a few who are qualified to receive treasures from the infinite space treasure vault worth more than 100,000 reward points. The dark sacred realm indeed gathers numerous strong cultivators. However, Elder Tian He, what are you in the dark sacred realm? Luo Feng looked at him. I spent a long time in the dark sacred realm, and I've made some progress, Elder Tian He said with a smile while looking at Luo Feng. Although I'm nothing special in the dark sacred realm, I can still teach you a lesson. Show me what you've got, Luo Feng said while looking at the other party. Elder Tian He casually extended a finger, and from the tip, a point of light shone. This point rapidly expanded, engulfing billions of kilometers in an instant and forming a huge formation diagram. Within the scope of the formation diagram, illusory gray birds began to generate. Before making a move, Luo Feng had already collected information about his opponent, knowing that Elder Tian He had deep accumulations and was skilled in various methods. Formation diagram was one of Elder Tian He's specialties. Elder Tian He had profound expertise in crafting formation diagrams and Taoist soldiers. Luo Feng stood there, and with a single thought, an endless blood sea surged beneath him. Simultaneously, the Xianqing sky annihilation map inside his body began to operate, naturally forming a formation with the endless blood sea. Along with piercing screeches, numerous illusory gray birds dashed across the void towards Luo Feng, plunging into the endless blood sea. Whoosh! Each illusory gray bird was like a sharp sword, piercing through parts of the blood wave, then ultimately perishing engulfed and eroded by the blood wave. Your physical body method is quite interesting. It's comparable to a low-level primordial life at the late-stage divine emperor. Elder Tian He said with a laugh, yet the wholeness of the formation diagram was consolidating into a huge and terrifying gray bird. This massive gray bird posed a frightening menace, and Luo Feng also faintly felt threatened. Yo! A shrill cry that pierced the heavens followed, and the massive gray bird sped towards Luo Feng's physical body with astonishing speed. Xianqing sky, a line between heaven and earth. The formation condensed into a light of life and death, immediately confronting the bird, forcibly piercing through the creature's body, making the bird become unreal and twisted. Is this all you've got? Luo Feng stood there. Elder Tian He, where's your Taoist soldier? What about your close combat techniques? Show me all your moves. A pure energy condensed Taoist soldier is indeed weaker. Elder Tian He looked at the scene. Today I carry with me a few hundred crafted Taoist soldiers, give them a try. With a wave of his hand, a number of wooden bird carvings flew out. These bird carvings quickly enlarged after being released, each one's might not inferior to the massive gray bird from before. Hundreds of Taoist soldiers? Luo Feng looked on seriously, sensing the power of these bird carvings. These Taoist soldiers seemed somewhat clumsy, but their strength was quite formidable, akin to late-stage divine emperor bloodline cultivators. However, when added together by the hundreds, the outcome was terrifying. Boom boom boom. Under the command of the formation, the natural formation of the Taoist soldiers' battle array posed a severe threat to Luo Feng. Stronger than expected, Luo Feng thought to himself. When hundreds of massive flying creatures surged out simultaneously, it was as though a large group of low-level primordial life had launched an assault. Instinctively, Luo Feng activated the Undying Heart at the very first moment. With the Undying Heart as the core, innumerable vessels spread, rapidly extending throughout the entire endless blood sea. Luo Feng had a premonition that without relying on the Undying Heart, his undying blood sea body would suffer significant injuries under the attack of hundreds of Taoist soldiers. His own energy reserve was only a little more than 200 perfect divine body reserves. He couldn't afford to deplete it so carelessly. Booming. Hundreds of massive flying creatures, coordinating with formation, merged their might into one, striking fear into the hearts of all cultivators observing from Yulan City. But suddenly, a massive blood wave billions of kilometers tall rose up, blocking these gigantic flying creatures like mountains. The flock of flying creatures didn't hesitate and smashed into it, shattering numerous blood waves in an instant. Yet, the might of these flying creatures was rapidly diminishing. The undying blood sea body, empowered by the Undying Heart, only increases its might by a few times. But the defense is increased by dozens of times. Even a full-force stomp from the Primordial Wild Hoof Leader only depleted 2% of my energy reserve. These Taoist soldier assaults can't harm me at all. In front of the Primordial Wild Hoof Leader, Luo Feng dared not claim to be undying. But at his own level, LuoFeng's undying was indeed fitting. Booming. The two sides clashed. Under the leadership of the formation, hundreds of Taoist soldiers either struck like raging thunder, condensed like a sword, or gathered like an axe chopping down. The might of the Taoist soldiers was indeed terrifying. How is this possible? Elder Tian He frowned. I released these Taoist soldiers and yet they couldn't force him to use that gigantic claw. He remembered clearly that it was a giant, fuzzy claw that pinched Mist's teeth to death. In front of my Taoist soldier formation, he still has strength to spare? Elder Tian He couldn't believe it. The Taoist soldier formation was his usual method. He usually couldn't be bothered to fight personally, just casually releasing some Taoist soldiers to confront the enemy. Crack. Under the empowerment of the Undying Heart, the might of the Shenqing Sky Annihilation Formation also greatly increased, and the endless blood sea mercilessly grinded away, finally breaking apart some of the wooden carved flying creatures. These flying creatures were each meticulously carved by Elder Tian He, integrated with formation diagrams, and forged into Taoist soldiers. More and more cultivators were observing from Yulan City, with members of various powers watching the battle. Elder Tian He's hundreds of Taoist soldiers striking together with a formation are actually at a disadvantage? This Luo Feng, a newly advanced elder-level existence, is so powerful? Everyone was somewhat surprised. Elder Tian He will probably have to resort to his true methods now. It looks like he's going to give it his all. The observers were all eagerly anticipating. Elder Tian He stood there with a casual wave of his hand, and the hundreds of Taoist soldiers in the distance all flew back to him, which he then easily stowed away. No wonder you're so confident, Elder Tian He said with a smile. You've easily blocked my Taoist soldier formation. I underestimated you. Luo Feng looked at his opponent. He was very clear that in order not to allow the undying blood sea body to suffer too much depletion, he already used the Undying Heart in front of the Taoist soldier formation. The fundamental great Tao I've cultivated over the long years is the formation diagram path, and I've refined Taoist soldiers with the formation diagrams, said Elder Tian He with sentiment. These Taoist soldiers have been my support as I grew from weak to strong over the endless years. But as an enlightened one, I've cultivated to the late-stage divine emperor but reached a bottleneck that I couldn't overcome no matter what. I realized that as I groped in the dark, I must have taken the wrong path. Elder Tian He gazed at Luo Feng. In the dark sacred realm, I've learned the heritages of other cultivators, over 100 kinds of heritages, absorbing their essence and integrating them into myself. Even though I've learned many techniques, I've never been able to reach perfection. Elder Tian He chuckled. Strictly speaking, the primordial bloodline route that I cultivated later did reach perfection. That path was the simplest. As soon as these words fell, Elder Tian He no longer restrained himself, releasing a terrifying aura that swept across all directions. Silver secret patterns even began to emerge on the surface of his skin. Primordial bloodline at the half-primordial level? Luo Feng looked at his opponent. Luo Feng understood that once one cultivates the bloodline path in addition to other techniques, the bloodline would contaminate one's own will. The mysteries of the bloodline could even become integrated with one's own enlightenment insights, which constituted a form of contamination of the Tao. Thus, for those of the enlightened one lineage, once the primordial life bloodline integrated into their bodies, the hope of making progress in their path of enlightenment would become slim. From then on, they would usually focus mainly on the bloodline path. As a member of the enlightened, during my time in the dark sacred realm, I exchanged my battle merit for a high-level primordial life bloodline, Elder Tian He said to Luo Feng. With this, I integrated it into my physical body, forming the foundation of my bloodline cultivation. I explored its potential and nurtured the eternal night netherworld kite body, and for this bloodline body, I even created a set of the eternal night battle technique. Elder Tian He stood there with a silvery gray aura sweeping through the heavens and earth, his presence terrifying, and with an invisible will impacting those around him. Although Elder Tian He's aura was terrifying, Luo Feng did not care. because he had long known that Elder Tian He's strongest ability was the body close combat method. LuoFeng even felt a bit sentimental. In Elder Tian He, LuoFeng saw the common predicaments of cultivators from the dark sacred realm. After completely hitting a bottleneck in cultivation, they would try all methods to find a path that might lead them out of the braided cage, thought LuoFeng. Elder Tian He had learned over 100 inheritances, yet he ultimately chose the bloodline path. The bloodline path, where Elder Tian He had reached the half-primordial level, just one step further and he could achieve the ultimate awakening, escaping the braided cage. This path at least held a sliver of a chance to escape the braided cage. Facing bottlenecks, endless years could not bring further progress. Cultivators of the dark sacred realm would exhaust every method, LuoFeng pondered. I wonder what kind of bottleneck I will encounter in the future. LuoFeng, let's see whose physical body is stronger, yours or my eternal night netherworld kite body? After Elder Tian He spoke, he vanished out of thin air. However, the biomimetic eye of destruction on LuoFeng's forehead could see, a subtle fluctuation flashed by, and it had already reached his proximity, where Elder Tian He's fingers swept past his chest like blades. Hiss hiss hiss, a sharp edge cut across his chest. LuoFeng stood there watching the scene with interest. The robe formed from his own energy, also fortified by the undying heart, remained unmarked even as the sharp edge cut across the chest of his robe. My body secret technique, Undying Blood Sea Body, based on the Star Tower blood-colored scale, inherently has some undying effects. With the secret treasure, Undying Heart, enhancing it, why should I fear your attack? LuoFeng clearly saw the whole process of Elder Tian He's move. Swoosh. 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 As Elder Tian He moved, he transformed into a covert airstream, which LuoFeng would not have been able to see without the biomimetic eye of destruction. During the rapid movements, he continuously slashed LuoFeng's body, slashing over 10 times in a blink, but failed to damage the robe at all. Elder Tian He, is that all you've got? Said LuoFeng. Previously, LuoFeng used the endless blood sea along with the formation to block and annihilate those hundreds of Daoist soldiers. This time, however, he responded to his enemy in his physical body form. Your protective robe, is it indestructible? Elder Tian He appeared far away, surprised. You, as a new elder, certainly have plenty of treasures. But however tough the robe might be, the endurance limit of your life form ultimately has a ceiling. Elder Tian He's body suddenly transformed, his stature burgeoned, and even grew 3 pairs of silvery gray wings on his back, his body covered in silvery gray fur, his head transforming, eventually becoming a gigantic avian humanoid. This appearance also excited many onlookers atop the walls of Yulan City. Eternal Night Netherworld Kite. Is this Elder Tian He's Eternal Night Netherworld Kite body? Many onlookers had purchased Divine Emperor's Intelligence, which contained this information about Elder Tian He. The giant silvery gray avian humanoid radiated strong waves of will. After all, it was cultivated based on the high-level Primordial Life bloodline, which had great potential and also bore Elder Tian He's hope of escaping the braided cage. At this moment, LuoFeng also became a bit more solemn. Elder Tian He flapped his 3 pairs of wings, instantly reaching close to LuoFeng, and his claw was already striking down. Unlike LuoFeng's huge, furry claw, Elder Tian He's current claw was much more lean and fierce. Boom! This claw strike went straight towards LuoFeng's head. LuoFeng did not even dodge, he directly met it with a palm as if he intended to hold up the entire sky. Bang! Their hard blows clashed. Elder Tian He aimed to deplete LuoFeng's energy with terrifying might, but in this hard clash, Elder Tian He detected the power of LuoFeng's palm. Although Elder Tian He had a slight advantage, the margin was too small. A new elder and his body is this strong? Elder Tian He frowned slightly, his 3 pairs of wings flapping, and his devastating claws continuously struck down, yet LuoFeng boldly met each strike with his palm. Rise! LuoFeng yelled. The endless blood sea immediately raised huge waves, engulfing Elder Tian He in an instant. The Shenqing Sky Annihilation Formation operated. The blood sea, binding and strangulating Elder Tian He from all directions, hindered his huge form, slowing his wing flapping significantly, reducing his eruptive might, naturally weakening each claw strike, even putting him at a disadvantage when clashing directly with LuoFeng. Elder Tian He, your moves are quite weak. LuoFeng laughed heartily as his majestic form battled against the immense bird man. The blood sea's binding and strangulation, plus the physical body combat, indeed gave LuoFeng the upper hand. The physical body form along with the endless blood sea, this was the complete form of the undying blood sea body. I'm still at a disadvantage? Elder Tian He felt quite suffocated. In Yulan City facing many troubles, normally the Eternal Night Netherworld Kite body was enough, and in his original plans relying on the Eternal Night Netherworld Kite body, he should have killed LuoFeng's avatar by now. Who would have thought, up till now he still hadn't forced out that super gigantic claw. If 50% strength is not enough, then let it be 100%. Elder Tian He's eyes flickered with blood light. He had never fully unleashed his power in Yulan City, and of course, this powerful method had only been perfected over hundreds of millions of years. Boom! Elder Tian He's hair below, the skin surface began to show the formation diagram. Dense formation diagrams covered every inch of skin, even the surface of Elder Tian He's eyeballs, were emerging with formation diagrams. If one could peek inside his body, every drop of blood within him would bear the imprint of formation diagrams. Formation diagrams are the fundamental path through which Elder Tian He has grown from weakness to his current strength. He used formation diagrams to refine Taoist soldiers. He even attempted to treat his eternal night netherworld kite body as a Taoist soldier, imprinting countless formation diagrams upon his body to further unlock the potential of his bloodline, aiming for the ultimate awakening. Although he was far from reaching ultimate awakening, the fusion of formation diagrams and the eternal night netherworld kite body indeed significantly enhanced the power of the latter. Luo Feng, with his biomimetic destruction eye, though unable to see inside Elder Tian He, could see densely packed formation diagrams emerging on the skin beneath the hair. These formation diagrams circulated with golden light, drastically boosting Elder Tian He's aura. This strength. Does Elder Tian He have this strength? Among the spectators on the city wall of Yulan City, several elders' avatars who were quite familiar with Elder Tian He immediately determined. This had already surpassed the abilities recorded about Elder Tian He. He has countless formation diagrams imprinted on his skin. It seems he has successfully fused the formation diagrams with the eternal night netherworld kite body. These elders were secretly astonished. The great Tao has intersections. Different cultivation systems indeed had the potential to combine, but achieving this was extremely difficult. Elder Tian He's body faintly glowed with golden light as his eyes integrated with formation diagrams stared at Luo Feng, his voice booming. "This is my first time going all out in Yulan City, Luo Feng, this is your honor." The words had just fallen. Boom. Elder Tian He's massive 3 pairs of wings vibrated, completely shredding the surrounding endless blood sea, and a terrifying claw strike directly hit Luo Feng's chest. Bang! Luo Feng felt the overwhelming force, involuntarily flying backward, crashing into the blood sea. Boom! At this moment Elder Tian He ferociously pursued Luo Feng, one claw causing countless blood waves to explode, his wings beating causing numerous blood seas to break and ascend, already consuming some of the blood sea. "I'm injured?" Luo Feng was surprised. Despite being enhanced by the undying heart, Elder Tian He could hurt him. Luo Feng also realized that he should not underestimate the top powerhouses of countless worlds. These powerhouses each had their opportunities. He had not learned any half-primordial inheritance to explore his path without interference. But those cultivators who practiced numerous inheritances, integrating wisdom from all aspects into themselves, also followed a very powerful path. Compared to these elders who have been around for innumerable years, my accumulations are still too shallow. Luo Feng clearly knew that these elders mainly wandered in the dark sacred realm and lacked many treasures in the 9 rivers sacred realm, hence their power was somewhat inferior. Boom. 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 Elder Tian He's immense 3 pairs of wings commanded terrifying authority, annihilating everything around, causing countless blood waves to ascend. He continued to cover Luo Feng with claw after claw, completely suppressing him in the fight. "Elder Tian He, your accumulation is indeed deeper than mine," Luo Feng spoke. "This battle can also come to an end now." Boom. Suddenly Luo Feng stretched out his hand, and his arm swelled, his palm transforming into a gigantic shaggy claw. With the enhancement of the undying heart, Luo Feng's power could rival Elder Tian He's eternal night netherworld kite body. Now controlling this claw, Luo Feng's divine power was also activating the secret patterns inside the claw, boosting its might. Compared to Luo Feng fighting bare-handed, using this claw dramatically brought a surge in power. Elder Tian He saw the gigantic shaggy claw, its might too strong, and he realized he could not overcome it. This one claw could even tear apart 2 or 3 scales of the Primordial Wild Hoof Leader. Boom. Under this one claw, covering heaven and earth, dividing heaven and earth, it became a world of its own cage. In this world cage, Elder Tian He had no escape and could only resist with full force. With a resounding boom, the massive claw ripped apart, still tearing apart 2 of his wings, blood flying, Elder Tian He showing a hint of powerlessness. From just one exchange, it was clear the disparity in power was too significant. There was no chance to fight. "At least you forced me to use this claw," Elder Tian He silently sighed. He knew about Luo Feng's gigantic shaggy claw, but Luo Feng had never used it, which frustrated Elder Tian He. Only at the last moment did he finally force Luo Feng's move. Though he lost, Elder Tian He was quite satisfied. "I lost." Elder Tian He's remaining wings closed, instantly transforming into a streak of golden light, instantly penetrating the world membrane formed by the palm world, and in a flash he had escaped to inside East City Gate. Seeing this, Luo Feng's right hand instantly returned to normal, the endless blood sea converging into one, once again becoming an ordinary-looking black-haired man. Yet at this moment, many spectators on the walls of Yulan City were in disbelief as they watched the black-haired man, who after that gigantic one-claw strike, even Elder Tian He was instantly seriously injured and fled. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and turn on the notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming great videos.